Hello everyone, welcome to the War Zone. I'm Scruffy, and this is Scruffy Tales. And I want to come back to the subject of Russia's deliberate strategy of attacking hospitals. I already made a video about it, Red Lines, but I figured I want to just highlight how much of deliberate these attacks are, how deliberate these attacks are, because I've been seeing a couple of comments how this is just a mistake, and the other comments that I'm sure you've seen it also, that it was a Ukrainian missile that flew off course and hit or the hospital or something, or and stuff like that, right? So that Ukraine basically bombed themselves. A bunch of bullshit, by the way. And we are now gonna take a look just how deliberate this attack actually was. And I'm gonna be relying on Wikipedia. You can just head on over there yourself if you want to double check all the sources and stuff like that. But let's begin. During the illegal Russian invasion of Ukraine, the Russian military has repeatedly attacked Ukrainian medical facilities and hospitals, clinics and ambulances and health workers. The Ministry of Defense of the United Kingdom stated that Russia was prioritizing attacks on Ukrainian medical facilities as a method of warfare, often striking these as well as power infrastructure with Iranian-made drones such as Shahed 131 and Shahed 136. And if we take a look here, as of April 4th, 2024, the World Health Organization verified 1,682 attacks on healthcare in Ukraine, resulting in 128 deaths and 288 injuries of medical personnel and patients. Russia has a history of employing systematic attacks on medical facilities as a tactic of war. And if we take a look what took place in the Syrian conflict, this became such a problem that doctors refused to share their coordinates with the UN in an attempt to avoid Russian attacks, right? Because the UN shared locations or where medical facilities were located, so as the opposing sides would then not target these areas so that they would not hit these by mistake. Now, what the Russians did, they took these coordinates provided by the United Nations and instead used those coordinates to plan their targets, right? So they used the information that they received from the UN in good faith and then attacked those locations. So in the end, the doctors refused to share these coordinates with the United Nations because it became such a problem. And this Wikipedia page, it is a long one. I'm not kidding. It's a long goddamn fucking list. I'll try and remember and provide the link below. So I'm just gonna, highlight snippets from that page because it's a long list detailing Russian strikes against hospital facilities, medical facilities in Ukraine. But as we can see here, a deadly attack occurred on the very first day of the war at the Central City Hospital in Vuhledar, when a Russian ballistic missile full of cluster munitions fell just outside of the hospital, killing 4 and injuring 10. And of course, we have the Mariupol maternity hospital being attacked, and then we had Russian missile strikes destroyed the maternity ward in the town of Vilnyansk, killing a newborn baby. And of course, the other day, yesterday, a Russian cruise missile struck the children's hospital in Kyiv. Right? I mean, and as it also reports here that hospitals were struck in the city of Dnipro as well. This is not by mistake. This is by design. There is purpose behind this. They're targeting hospitals and killing civilians on purpose, killing children on purpose. I mean, yes, this is just, take a look at this list. I mean, take a look here. By the end of 2022, nearly 1 in 10 Ukrainian hospitals had been damaged. That is not by mistake. That is not something that just happened. I mean, it just goes on. The Center for Information Resilience found that Russia has deliberately and repeated target Kherson City's medical facilities between December 2022 and May 2023. And here we have collectively, this constitutes almost daily deliberate instances of war crimes on a massive scale. I mean, who in their right mind believes that the attack yesterday on the Children's Hospital was a mistake? Right? Who actually believes that was a mistake? Or that it was a Ukrainian missile? When you take a look, when you can see that Russia has for decades targeted hospitals as part of their military doctrine. I mean, just take a look at this from Syria, right? Hospitals in Aleppo were attacked multiple times, damn word. And before March 2016, more than 6 hospitals were attacked in the Aleppo governorate. In April 2016, over 24 were killed when a Russian airstrike hit a hospital. Right? And by the end of July 2016, 6 hospitals in Aleppo had been destroyed. It's just, and we can go back to Georgia, we can go back to Chechnya. This is how Russia wages war. Why would anyone argue this? And why would anyone say, "Oh, it's all right, nothing happened, that was a mistake," or Ukraine was shooting at their own hospitals, where you have to be fucking mental to believe that this wasn't a Russian missile striking a Ukrainian hospital. You have to be a fucking do you realize how stupid you have to be to believe that this was not an intentional Russian strike against this hospital? Jesus fucking Christ. And I just need to address this guy here, whatever his name is. He keeps popping up in my comment sections. He's pro-Russian, Swedish by the looks of it. I'm so ashamed. And he has, talks a lot of bullshit. But anyway, he made this comment. And so I decided, let's translate it and share it with you guys. And take a look what he says here. Never mind all the other bullshit. Russia has nothing to gain by killing civilians, unlike Israel, right? Because, yeah, Russia has nothing to gain by killing civilians. This was most certainly a mistake, right? This was most certainly a mistake. Russia has nothing to gain by killing civilians. And this is concerning the strike at the Children's Hospital yesterday. And this guy says this when we have on record that as of April 4th, the World Health Organization verified 1,682 attacks on healthcare in Ukraine, resulting in 128 deaths and 288 injuries. Right? And yesterday we had Ukrainian Children's Hospital attacked as Russian strikes on cities kill at least 39. It was most certainly a mistake, and Russia has nothing to gain by killing civilians. I don't know, dude. Kind of looks like Russia quite often kills civilians. I mean, either that or Russia is extremely incompetent at striking legitimate targets. I mean, we have 1,682 attacks that have missed their mark, if it's a mistake, right? So which is it? Either the Russians are incredibly stupid and don't know what the hell they're doing. And they are incompetent on a level that is beyond belief, or they're doing this intentionally. The missiles are striking exactly where they're meant to strike, and the Russians are evil sons of bitches that needs to be stopped. Hell, they need to be stopped even if they're incompetent, because you can't obviously trust them with military grade equipment, because all of a sudden they just start shooting missiles all over the place because they don't know what they're doing. So either way, they need to be stopped. Either we stop them because they're evil and doing it on purpose, or we have to stop them because they have no clue what they're doing and they are just launching missiles at random, right? I mean, yeah, so whatever the case, they need to be stopped, and they need to be stopped right away. And I mean, take a look at this here. On the 5th of July 2022, the UN High Commissioner reported that most civilian casualties documented by her office had been caused by the Russian army, and their use of explosive weapons with wide area effects in populated areas, calling it indisputable. And by 30th of June 2023, they assessed that 90.5% of all civilian deaths were caused by such indiscriminate attacks, and that 84.2% of them were recorded in Ukrainian-held territory. And Russian missiles struck residential buildings in the southern central city of Kryvyi Rih several times. On the 13th of June 2023, Russian cruise missiles struck an apartment block and civilian warehouses in Kryvyi Rih, killing 13 people. And on the 31st of July 2023, a Russian missile struck an apartment block in Kryvyi Rih, killing at least 6 civilians, including a 10-year-old girl and her mother. So are these mistakes as well? Because it seems like there's a lot of mistakes going on in that case. You know, the Russians aren't that very good at aiming if these are mistakes. So, I mean, maybe they should stop shooting because they clearly aren't hitting what they're supposed to be hitting, right? If they are accidentally killing civilians all the time. And here we have on the 8th of July 2023, Russian cluster bombs struck a residential area of Liman. 9 civilians were killed and 19 wounded. And the residents had gathered to trade dairy products and fresh produce from their gardens, as they did most mornings. The use of cluster bombs in areas with civilians makes an attack indiscriminate, because you spread out 50 to 100 small grenades over a large area. You have no idea what you're hitting or where they're bouncing off and when they detonate or stuff like that. And this is clearly in violation of international humanitarian law. And then in 2022, we had Children's and Maternity Hospital number 3, a hospital complex functioning both as a children's hospital and maternity ward, was bombed several times by Russian forces during a ceasefire, killing at least 4 people and injuring at least 17, also leading to at least 1 stillbirth. Ukrainian authorities described the damage to the hospital as colossal. But this was most certainly a mistake, because Russia has nothing to gain by killing civilians. Right? Right? If you are a supporter of Russia in this war, how do you justify Russia's deliberate strikes against civilians? How do you ignore the truth? What makes you think Russia's cause is just? How do you not see that Russia is evil? How do you fail to realize that you are a supporter of evil deeds, a supporter of children being murdered? And before finishing the video, I figured I could share this if you feel you want to do something to help Ukraine after this latest horrendous attack This guy might be for you, and I'll provide the link below to his tweet, and then you can, or to his PayPal. I'll provide a link to the guy in question, and you have to make up your own mind if it's legit or not. I'm just saying it's out there, and it might be worth looking into. If he's legit or not, I'll leave that to you. But like I said, if you feel you want to do something, this guy might be up your alley. And well, I don't have all that much to add. That's the end of the video. Go på marsch, Ukraine. Give them hell.